It's not so great right now regarding weather. It's the weather outside. It's so cold. Oh, oh my goodness. Well, Emily, you're happy about that. You're very happy about that.
I walked here and it was snowing and I smiled about it. And I
Hmm.
was told I'm crazy, and so be it. I love the snow.
It's okay. Well, according to news12.com, New Jersey, a nor'easter storm will make New Jersey cold, dreary, and wet for the next few days, as Elizabeth mentioned in her newscast. And according to meteorologist Dave Curran, he says that while some areas of the state could see some snow, this storm will not be a snow event for the Garden State and as a whole. Rain and wind will be the major impact of the storm. Curran says that the rainy conditions are expected to last into tomorrow. He says that there will be a 36 to 48 hour stretch of rainy and breezy weather across most of the state. And the roads will be wet, and there's a potential for large puddles to form. Drivers should use caution. And also, snow is possible in areas of the state with higher elevations. Hey, that's us right now. We're in the higher elevation. And coastal flooding is possible, but Curran says that's kind of unlikely. And dozens of flights were delayed or canceled at Newark Liberty Airport due to the wind, rain, and poor visibility brought by the nor'easter. A state of emergency has been issued for Bergen, Morris, Passaic, Sussex, and Warren counties last night at 8 p.m., as Elizabeth said before. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this last time we were here, and it definitely relates to geological differences because just before the show started, my dad texted me from Staten Island, which is more near the ocean level, right? And there is zero snow there whatsoever. There's zero snow. It might be, kind of the same weather, cold and not so good outside, but compared to here with the flurries outside right now, that's not happening with places closer to the sea level. And that just relates to those geological differences. So it's okay though, because within 2 months, we're going to be in the summer. Let's go.
Yeah. No, we're getting there.
Cannot wait for that. And do you guys have class today, by the way? Like,
not until 2:30.
Yeah, but I don't think any cancellations were.
Yeah,
I haven't heard about any.
No.
For my classes, not related to the snow anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's definitely less severe as we were reading from the News 12 meteorologist. Less severe than the last time we were here. It was. I remember walking to the studio the last Tuesday we were here before break, and we were talking about the plows that were all around campus, like making paths for everybody. So I don't think it's necessary right now because it's a little flurries, not so severe, but still, it's cold. Which, Emily, that must be your best habitat, right?
I love the cold, but I will say that I appreciate that there were no plows going underneath my dorm building this time around. Because like you said 2 weeks ago, they were literally going underneath the building. So I got good sleep because it's only flurrying just about now.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling my class didn't get canceled 2 weeks ago. It probably won't today. And maybe we'll see the snow plows later on,
Yeah, we're gonna find out, and hopefully everybody stays safe, and with driving as well, our commuters who are driving to campus, and hopefully as time goes on, the weather gets warmer, it'll be less severe with that. And speaking of that severity, Jake, why don't you take us into the next story regarding world politics?
Yes, of course. So Biden announces nuclear-powered submarines for Australia. President Joe Biden and the leaders of Australia and the United Kingdom announced that Australia will purchase nuclear-powered attack submarines from the US. They will be used to modernize its fleet among growing concerns about China's influence in the Indo-Pacific. Biden flew to San Diego to appear with the Austrian Prime Minister and British Prime Minister as they hailed an 18-month-old nuclear partnership given the acronym AUKUS. I guess we might call it AUKUS. I feel like that's not
AUKUS.
That's not the most
Okay.
I don't know, usable name, but
Yeah,
we'll go with it, for Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The partnership, announced in 2021, enables Australia to access nuclear-powered submarines. They are stealthier and more capable than conventionally powered vessels as a counterweight to China's military buildup. Biden, appearing sensitive to tensions with China and its criticism of the deal, stressed that the submarines are, quote, nuclear powered, not nuclear armed,
Okay, yeah,
which
that
is
I
an
think
important distinction.
that's definitely true, Jake. I mean, if I'm a person who is really quickly scrolling, seeing what's going on in the news, and I see this type of story, I would immediately, when we hear the language regarding nuclear things, definitely brings to mind, nuclear weapons, which could
Yeah,
cause mass destruction, as we've
and
learned
it
in
is
history books.
right, and it is a nuclear weapon.
Hmm.
But no, absolutely, and it is a concerning development, right? The
Sure.
fact that this is called for and necessary because tensions are getting to
I
this
mean,
place.
yeah, that relates to the ongoing, like I said, Jake, ongoing conflict with the United States and China, relating back to last month with the spy balloon that was shot down, and then
Right.
China said, "Really, was that really necessary?"
Yeah, do you
So
really
this
have to do
it's
that?
an ongoing thing, and it
Yeah, generally, I think
yeah,
there is this move towards because I think it also goes in line with what's going on with Russia right now too,
that's
providing
true too.
arms to Ukraine. Um, and of course there's like a bit of a parallel there with the kind of
Ooh.
fears and tensions regarding Taiwan's
Mm-hmm.
territorial integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that there is kind of a global effort of US and NATO um, to like defend against that and try to kind of stop that movement of activity.
Yeah, I mean, I when we cover stories like this on the Morning Buzz or anywhere at the station, I always try to bring up the idea that we aren't the ones sitting at the boards in the military, basically saying, okay, how are we gonna strategize this? How are we gonna mitigate or work through what's going on with the superpower country that we're not on good terms with, and it seems to be getting pretty bad as the time goes on. So, I mean, hopefully, hopefully nothing too detrimental comes from this increase in military power given to all these countries who may not be on the same page with one another. According to the Montclair EDO website, over spring break, Montclair State University was the scene of realistic but fictional large-scale emergency response on Wednesday, March 8th, last Wednesday. University police led an active shooter drill involving first responders from Clifton, Montclair Township, and Passaic County. The purpose of the drill was to test and ensure a coordinated emergency response plan with surrounding public safety departments. The contributions from campus police, local law enforcement, and emergency services lent to the authenticity of the drill. Kiernan Barrett, interim chief of University Police, said, quote, "It is important that our campus community has a vested interest in campus safety. Our police staff, along with emergency preparedness teams, will present a multitude of topics and scenarios for students, faculty, and staff to ensure they are prepared in the event of various emergencies." So let me just ask this question before we get into the story. How would you guys say the safety is on Montclair State campus as a whole?
Mm, I think I mean, I've been going here all 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I've never, thankfully, I've never seen anything, too crazy.
Sure.
And I think we're all really thankful for that because we know what the situations have been like
Mm-hmm.
in the past couple years.
Yeah.
And this is a very safe area, I feel.
Mhm.
And for the past 4 years, I've felt very safe on campus.
Sure. Yeah. And I feel that way. I feel the same way too, George.
Mhm.
On the weekends here, I always enjoy taking nice walks around campus, and it's really peaceful. There's no craziness going on, but there are some instances throughout the year of things happening, like in the negative sense, because last fall we got news that a attempted robbery happened at Bone Hall,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And even before that, the last fall before that, what happened the last fall before that? There was the Hurricane Ida. That I mean that was
Yeah,
more of like that was
lots
not
of
like
flooding and stuff.
yeah, but that wasn't really like a crime thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I remember last spring. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet this semester, but last spring there was a group of really, really rigid Christian protesters here on campus.
Yes.
Mhm. I
And
remember that.
yeah, that
And I think
happened.
that is a perennial thing at like a lot of colleges. You know, I think those people kind of make a bit of a habit of coming to campuses.
Sure.
Um,
And I think that relates to those people. I mean, we are an open campus, right? Anybody can walk
right.
on,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and those like with the Christian group, they were here in because they were holding up really, really heinous signs, right? And I think the motive is, well, if we hold up these signs with really, really mean messaging on them, people are not going to like that, so they're going to violently attack us. When that happens, we're going to sue for cash. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really that's the tactic. But I'm really happy that hasn't happened this year, and just thinking about just this semester too, with what happened with Michigan State, and just a sense of like just uh, the concern for keeping people safe regarding harassment around campus.
Mhm.
That's really I think a really important aspect regarding uh, what to do, what not to do, and how to keep our community safe as much as possible, right? Yeah.
I think it's really
Absolutely.
important that we're doing this because I will say from personal experience that it is very easy to feel very safe in any
Sure.
school and everything's normal and then you never
Right.
know what could happen. So
Yeah.
the fact that our school is responding in such a way to obviously another incident at a totally different school, really I
Mhm.
find comfort in that
That stuff, yes.
that we're
Yes.
working towards, just in the worst case scenario that's something that the people in charge will know how to react,
Yes.
and hopefully all the students like we get a little bit more information
Mhm.
on how we're supposed to react depending on where we are on campus, but I'm
yeah.
glad that they're working towards this.
That actually reminds me, Emo. Kieran Barrett, the University Chief of Police, said next fall, in August, the next fall starts August 28th, which is my sister's birthday. That's a sign out though. It starts August 28th, right? August 29th is Red Hawk Day, like opening day, Red Hawk Day, and Chief Barrett said in August we're going to have a student oriented drill.
Mhm.
And my question is, well, if the semester is starting August 28th, Red Hawk Day is August 29th, it would have to be either August 30th or 31st. It would have to be, or else it would be in September, right? Like
That's a great point.
it's gonna be one of those 2 days because it would be really, I think really not awkward, but really unconventional if it was in a place where it was at a time during Red Hawk Day where people are happy to be here. There's a lot of positive energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be kind of weird to have a drill during that day, I think. So it would just as a sense reminder, like August 30th or 31st, if it's not tentative, right? Those 2 days are I think where we can expect to have a student oriented drill,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
So just something to think about. And yes, that's to finish the story off. I think we should really, really be grateful for the work that our police do for our campus, right? Keeping us safe all the time and taking the right measures to do that and make sure that in case there is something really bad that happens, they know what to do in the best way possible. Jake, why don't you take us into the next story regarding Sunshine State, Florida?
Oh, geez. I suppose they do sell soup there, don't they? They haven't. They can't take that away from. Ron DeSantis wants to make America Florida and fight the woke. Florida men are starting their engines. While DeSantis hasn't yet entered the contest for Republican presidential nomination, even so, he is one of the leading candidates. In polls of possible nominees, he rivals and sometimes surpasses former President Donald Trump. DeSantis has just released a new book that highlights his pernicious lifestyle and hardline stance on issues ranging from education to public health. It picks up from his first term as Florida governor, when he became well known nationally throughout his frequent appearances on Fox News. At his victory celebration in November, supporters cheered as he pledged to continue his campaign against ideas, policies, and laws he derides as woke. He said, quote, "We fight woke in the schools. We fight woke in the corporations. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die."
Yeah, I mean, this definitely relates to what's been going on regarding just American politics in general over the last few years, right? This has definitely been for people like on the political spectrum, if they identify with like conservative or right leaning politics, like
Far right leaning
something. This is something that they engage with, and this is something that they make sense with. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to play a big role, I think, as Jake was saying before, coming up this presidential election 2024, based on the people who keep throwing their hats in on both sides of the aisle. It's going to be pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. I think it's so wild that last quote is like actually being said by a public official because it's barely coherent.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I really think that, like, I don't know, it's just genuine mental illness on display. But
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, again, it goes back to the idea of like, well, there's a lot of people who live in Florida and a lot of people who are looking to move to Florida who concur with that stuff. I mean, that's just part of the everyday things that we've been seeing, you know, in American life regarding politics, and that's something we're going to continue covering as the months go on regarding like current events and how it plays out, when it comes time for Americans to exercise their civil right to vote. And speaking about exercising rights to go where people please and use their business thoroughly wherever they want to, Chuck E. Cheese still uses floppy disks to make its rodent mascot dance for now. According to BuzzFeedNews.com, the Mr. Cheese lives just like the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. As of today, there are still quite a few technologies that rely on floppies. Boeing 747 jets, part of the San Francisco public transit system. And on a slightly less concerning but also amusing note, the performing animatronic creatures at Chuck E. Cheese restaurants. In a recent viral TikTok, a Chuck E. Cheese employee shows off the winter 2023 floppy disk sent from corporate headquarters. The TikToker demonstrates how he loads the 3.5-inch disk into a large computer server in order to relay the data for the latest song and dance routine for the robotic animals. This kind of retro tech has long captivated the internet. In 2008, a collector programmed an erstwhile Showbiz pizza place chain's animatronic band to sing current songs like Love in This Club by Usher. If you guys want to know more about Chuck E. Cheese, our producer is more than happy to share information about it. This is definitely, I think, floppy disks, really? Animatronics in 2023?
I could not be the only one who's this animatronics like freaked me out a little bit.
I mean, me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like
They
we're
definitely do.
we're still using animatronics in 2023, and like get somebody in a mascot at least.
We're talking about ChatGPT, how that's taking over everything. It hasn't come into animatronics yet.
Yeah, and like floppy disks.
Like, really?
Yeah, I'm just confused why they still use floppy disks for the animatronics. I don't know how animatronics work, and they are really scary. And
Yes.
they scare me
right,
a lot.
Elizabeth.
They creep me out.
That is right.
I just don't understand why the floppy disks are still being used and why they can't switch over to some different, more modern type of technology.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm assuming they have their reasons for why they still use a floppy disk.
We don't want to give them our most modern of technology. We fear what they may do.
Well, like, I don't know. Like, I know, like, in Disney, the animatronics, are a lot more advanced, and like, at some points. Like I know, like at the recent like Avatar, like there's a ride like the Navi River. There's a you know, an animatronic that, you know, has very swift movements and like, you know, very technologically advanced. And I think that the animatronics at Chuck E. Cheese are not that, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of these were built in like 1986.
And they
And
they should be
I-
refurbished.
I don't know. I wonder if there's any interest in doing that, right? Because that's kind
Mm.
of also like when you think of Chuck E. Cheese animations, like what they are.
Yeah.
So
Creepy,
I
that's
don't
for
know.
sure.
I could see if there's no real desire to update it.
Sure. I mean, that's something that's definitely a culture of its own because not everybody that's not one of my top places to go to if I want to have some fun. But I mean hopefully they agree in it, like look into that, like floppy disks in 2023. You know, that's something really interesting. But nevertheless, this has been the Morning Buzz here 90.3 WMST Upper Montclair. My name's Aiden Ivers. I've been your host, and this has been provided with our co-host Jake Getz, our newscaster Elizabeth Godoy, our segment host Emily McCormack, our sportscaster George Calasia, and our producer Lara Zaccardi. Thank you very much, listeners, for tuning in and tuning for 9 at a times with Emily McCormack right after our broadcast. And right now, before we go, I have a question for one of our viewers, Mr. Kyle Pepitone. I have a question for you. Right off the top of the
Hi.
Hi, Kyle. We just wanted to know, Kyle, if you could feel our hearts right after this top of the hour with Bring Me the Horizon. Bye.